Hello, this is Noah's father, and Noah's the star student for this week, so I'm going to be reading a chapter from a book that Noah has liked hearing from recently, If Stones Could Speak, which is about a reinterpretation of the meaning behind Stonehenge, which is this archaeological site in England. And it was reinterpreted by archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson, who is here. That's him in the red. And a colleague from Madagascar named Ramilisonina. That's him. And I'm going to be reading chapter 8, The Alignment and the Mistake. Today, some 35,000 people travel to Stonehenge on the longest day of the year, which is generally June 21st. On that day and that day only, the rays of the rising sun color the avenue and then split the pillars of the great trilithon. The summer solstice, as it is called, is captured in light and stone. But those who built Stonehenge did not just stand within the stone circle. The ditch between the southern circle and the river Avon that the team found in 2004 proved to be a false lead. The following year, they discovered the real avenue, a roadway so important that the people who built it paved it with flint. And that avenue revealed one more secret of Stonehenge. Mike and his team discovered that a person standing at the Avon at the end of that same midsummer's day would have seen the light of the setting sun moving up the avenue into the southern circle. Linking the two circles was the river. People would have seen the sunrise in stone and walked along the river, timing their passage to arrive at the wooden circle for sunset. In this picture, tourists and believers still flock to Stonehenge at the midsummer solstice, as they did in this photo taken in 1958. On the shortest day of winter, the pattern reverses. A person standing within the wood circle and looking out the entrance would see the sun rising up that avenue. Facing the sun as it rises, he or she would walk along the Avon, timing the passage to arrive at Stonehenge at sunset, where the sun's rays would once again split the great trilithon. The two circles were set, like the gears in a watch, to work together, to fix 2 points in 2 crucial days. The turning of the entire year was marked by Stonehenge and the southern circle. To this day, when Mike talks about this discovery, you can see the sense of wonder in his eyes. Mike had to explain this to me many times, but when I finally got it, I literally felt the ground shifting under my feet. Back to the basketball court. It is as if scholars had been spending all of their time trying to make sense of one basket, and someone figured out that there was another on the opposite end. Suddenly, the whole space would matter, not just one goal. In fact, that is exactly what happened, as the Riverside team studied the river linking the two circles. In the 1930s and 1940s, archaeologists found 2 locations along the riverside where there were pits filled with ash, the remains of giant bonfires. Upstream, next to the Durrington Walls and Woodhenge, the team discovered another 3 wooden monuments along the river cliff, perhaps with high platforms from which the ancient people looked down at the river. In 2009, at the Stonehenge end, they made the thrilling discovery of Blue Stonehenge, a circle of blue stones originally from Wales that once stood here beside the riverbank. This site may have been the original home of some of the taller blue stones now forming the inner circle at Stonehenge. We'll look at the map. blue Stonehenge is here. This is Stonehenge, and this is the southern circle within Durrington Walls, and this is the River Avon. This picture, looking carefully at this picture, you can see the 50-foot wide avenue that ran from the southern circle to the Avon. The two men in red and the yellow buckets at the center are standing in the middle of the dark, flint-paved avenue. The avenue has a low chalk ridge on each side, visible as lighter ground. Andrew Chamberlain, a colleague of Mike's at Sheffield University, uses a laser to create a 3D computer model of the carefully dug and packed hole which once held a standing stone at Blue Stonehenge. The river that linked the lands of the living and of the dead is beginning to give up its secrets. Unfortunately, we cannot experience the journey today as the ancient people did. A raised roadway blocks the sight lines to and from the southern circle. But we can imagine it, picture it in our minds, and in doing so we can begin to understand Stonehenge as part of an environment in which the people lived. A timber circle on one end with an avenue to a river flowing along to another avenue leading up to a circle of stone. As Ramillisanina had understood, Stonehenge was part of a landscape marking off the land of the living from the land of the dead. For hundreds of years, everyone who tried to understand Stonehenge was hypnotized by the circle of stones. Ramillisanina's sense that stone must be paired with wood broke the spell. Suddenly we can look up, look around, and picture how people lived here thousands of years ago. The work of an archaeologist is not all digging in trenches. Sometimes the most important clues can be found in archives and libraries. In 2005, the Riverside team was making great discoveries on the ground, but what about those puzzling dates for Stonehenge and the mismatch with the southern circle? After the year's digging was over, Mike went to the files to carefully review Atkinson's records. There, he discovered that the great man had made a mistake. What he took to be a ramp could not have been used that way because it did not actually come close enough to the hole where the stone ended up. This is a ramp potentially for standing up the stone. In fact, one of Atkinson's assistants had noticed this error, but he was too afraid to speak up. Atkinson's announcement that there could be no doubt silenced him. With that error cleaned up, the new date for the raising of the Sarsens at Stonehenge was between 2600 and 2480 BC. The central stones that frame the sun and the outer circle were put up at the same time, around 2500 BC. Dates taken from antler picks dug out from the southern circle show it was built between 2500 and 2480 BC. The dates are a perfect match. In the pictures, Josh Pollard led the excavations at Woodhenge and also found remains of raised timber platforms south of Woodhenge overlooking the River Avon. Blue Stonehenge. Blue stones once stood where you see team members in their colorful shirts in this arc. Only part of the circle has been excavated. The blue stones were later removed, probably to Stonehenge, and the site was enclosed with a ditch and a bank. This is the later ditch. I think that's the end of the chapter. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye.